Hey boys, welcome back to some Nrl Supercoach 2023. It is officially opened. It's nice because it's in Queensland. It's only a bit past 11, and they said it was opening at midnight, but obviously that's Sydney time. So in Queensland, it's now early. So beautiful. I was able to jump on and muck around with a little makeshift team. So I'm just gonna go through a very brief, like this is just thrown together very quickly, and just go through what we can sort of spend with the money. So one thing of note is that I don't really know why they did this. I know they said it's to coincide with the NRL salary cap increasing, so they've increased the Supercoach salary cap whilst in turn increasing every player's initial price as well by the percentage of it. So basically every player is theoretically overpriced. they're all up on what they so like usually bottom range is like 180,000, but now it's like 200,000. So everybody's like, I guess, overpriced, which I don't know. I guess everyone's going to lose money after the first 3 weeks. I'm not sure how it's going to work, honestly. But it doesn't actually change the game at all. It's just, I guess you got to work out sort of still if the price is worth it still. But let's go through. Also, I want to quickly touch on, so the big rule change for this year is, in the big buy rounds, in the major 3 buy rounds, they've now switched over to, I think the AFL does this, AFL Supercoach. You now, instead of playing, like let's say you had a full 17, when the 3 major buys are on, they select, it'll roll, but after the round is finished, it'll just take your top 13 scores into calculations. Even if you had 17 players, it basically just cuts off the bottom 4. Or if you had 16, it would cut off the lowest 3 scores and so on. Now, I've seen a lot of people upset by this. All the Supercoach veterans, all the experts are so offended. They're all so offended that they would add something that makes the game a little bit more, I guess, easier for people to get into if they don't have the time to buy plan, or they're not exactly sure how it all works and this and that. And I gotta be honest, I don't think it's bad at all. Like, I actually think there's a couple of cool things about it. First off, all those people that are so upset, it's not gonna change anything. Like, the people that buy plan, the people that think forward and do the buy planning well are still going to score way better than people that don't. Like, I don't really understand the outcry for it. It's just a bit of a, ease of life type thing in the game. I don't mind it because you still, it's sort of like I said, it's cool in a way because, let's say the first buy, and even like people, you're not really going to get like full 17 players anyway. So let's say a typical buy, you might get like 15, 16 players, right? You can throw a bit of a dart at a couple of smokies because you can go for guys that maybe you would never bring into your team generally, because in the buy, even for the buy, you'd be like, they're not great, and I don't want them in the team. But this way, even if they stink it up, they don't go into your score. You just get the top 13 players for that week. And with all the buys this year, I don't know. Personally, I don't think it's a bad thing, because you still have to plan for the buy if you want to do well, because you still need the 13 players, or depending how the buys shape up, like you might not even get to 13. Like it all depends on what teams are on the buys, and this and that, because there's a lot of times where like one of the buys, you might have a lot of the players available, just the way the team shape up, and then the next week if you want a good team, you might have had like 11, 12 players. So I don't think it changes much at all. It just makes it a little bit easier for newer players. So I really don't find it to be that big a deal. I guess after, once we play through the season, I guess we'll have a better idea of how it worked and stuff. But I don't think it's going to change too much, if I'm being honest. The only thing, I know I'm going on about this for ages now. The only thing I'm very curious to see what happens is, I'm guessing your captain and vice captain, like, they're locked, so you can't do like, what's it called? Like the loophole. But what if your captain, what if he's one of the lower, like, let's say you have 15 players, right? And your captain is one of the two lowest scorers. Does he just switch with like the highest scoring player to be the captain, or does the captain just stay in the team regardless? Like, I'm very curious to see what happens with that. Like, let's say your captain gets injured in the first few minutes, only is on like 2 points. Does he just switch with the highest player to become captain? Or I'm very curious to see what happens there with the captaincy. I think that could be, I'm sure the AFL, I'm not even sure, like, I don't know how the AFL one works, but yeah, interested to see that. But let's go through the team. Enough of that crap. So this is thrown together. As you can see, I got a little bit of money left over to upgrade and switch things around. But as you can see, the dummy halves, I've gone with Brandon Smith. I think is going to be. I don't find myself not going Brandon Smith as either my, like, I don't think I'm going to start with Harry Grant. Harry Grant is obviously the most expensive dummy half, and the way my team, like the way I'm thinking my team will structure, I don't know, not starting Harry Grant I think is an okay decision, because I mean, if Pappenhausen is back for round 1, I would be very tempted to go Harry Grant, because he's just going to score better if Pappy's fresh and he's fit, ready to go. But I don't think Pappenhausen is going to be ready for the first few rounds. I mean, maybe I could be wrong on that, but I don't think so. So I don't see Harry Grant absolutely, obviously there's no, that's the tough part as well. There's obviously no Brandon Smith to take minutes away, but I don't know. I feel like you can save money on Brandon Smith. You can save money not going Grant and strengthen the team a lot more efficiently to start the year. So Brandon Smith, 478, should be getting big minutes. Trained at dummy half now the whole preseason. He's obviously at the Storm he was playing lock and occasionally spelling dummy half, but he wasn't sort of in that role as a dummy half with Grant in the team. So Brandon Smith is a no-brainer in that Roosters team. Like, I would be shocked if Brandon Smith isn't one of the top dummy halves at the end of the year. And then I've gone with Aaron Clark, who this is going to be an interesting one as well, because I would definitely be happy with starting Brandon Smith and going like a cheap option at dummy half. I haven't actually looked too much into like dummy halves if there's any okay cheapies this year. I don't think there is off the top of my head, but I'll have a look to see if potentially can save more money. But I do like Clark as the backup dummy half. I know he's more expensive, a bit more expensive than Smith, but if he keeps that lock roll, I mean, I can see him averaging 60 points. Like, I think Clark is a pretty handy pickup, but that's the thing again. It's like the trade-off from Clark getting 60, or you can save a lot of money and upgrade one of your backs or your back rowers. It's a toss-up. So we'll obviously I'll go through more positional and stuff like that and have a closer look at dummy halves in future videos. But Clark's there for now. Just I like him there, but we'll see. Our starting front row, we got Luke Thompson and Tom Gilbert. So Tom Gilbert looks like he's going to get, I mean, I would be pretty shocked if Gilbert doesn't get big minutes. It looks like he's going to start at lock, but I'm sure he'll go into the front row at points. But with their forward pack, it's very experienced, but it is aging. Tom Gilbert is a bit of I think he's a bit of a freak, he's a good player, very good player. And I'd be surprised if he doesn't get big minutes in that forward pack. And I think at 494, he's pretty good value there. And then Luke Thompson as well. We could see what Luke Thompson does when he gets big minutes, but I guess the Dogs do have really good forward depth, so it's the only thing. But they have, they have lost Jackson, they lost Paul Vaughan. So again, I think Thompson is in for an up year. Obviously, last year he was in and out of the team a fair bit, so I don't mind that. I've seen a couple other teams, and the Safidi brothers are very heavily prominent. You've also got like Stefano. There's a couple other guys as well. On the reserves, we got Jack Hetherington, 266. I mean, he's also a pretty good pickup as well. I would expect. I'm not sure whether. I haven't looked at the Knights team yet during my discussion, so I'm not sure where he fits in. Does he get a back row spot, or do they use him through the middle? Regardless, I would expect him to get decent minutes, and 266. It's hard not to go Hetherington. And then the other guy at the moment, David Mwale. There's quite a few cheapy front rowers that could have some pretty good value. So it's just a wait and see who sort of who looks the goods in trials and how the benches and the starting props shape up. But Mwale, he's obviously a talent, and surely the minutes are going to start increasing for him. So at the moment he's there, but we'll toss up who's sort of the other cheaper front rower there to make a bit of cash. In the back row, the back row is a tough one. I feel like I'm going to go for Feeder. I don't know. Out of all the top line back rowers, I just find myself hard pressed not to go for Feeder, because he's quite a bit less than a lot of other guys like Crichton, Madison. There's a couple other guys that were a fair bit more expensive, and Fafita just has that. He didn't have a good season, but he still averaged. Well, what did he average? Like 60 odd plus. Like, he's just he's a Supercoach god. If he just gets footy, so I think the Titans are in for a better year. Hopefully, they use him better. And I don't know. I feel like he's going to lock in my team as well. Jermaine Hopgood, I don't have him starting, but he's a lock in the team. I mean, it seems like he's going to get that starting lock spot. So at 300k starting lock, he's heavily touted as a very good forward, good motor. He's hard not to go. Luke Garner, I think Luke Garner is also not a must-have, but he's very hard to not put in the team, right? 400k, he's playing that left-hand Panthers edge. He's not going to be kick out. I see so many delusional Panthers fans that act like, they've just replaced kick out with Garner. Like, just simple swap there. I just like they're kidding themselves. Like, Kickow is the guy that created so many of the attacking plays down that left-hand edge. He was the man. But at the same time, Luke Garner, the Panthers are still going to be good, and he should be in for some good attacking footy outside Luai and all that sort of stuff. But he's not. I don't really see him being a gun. I don't see him being a keeper. I could be very heavily mistaken. Maybe he does come out and kills it, scores some tries early and continues the role. But I see him more of a bit of a cash cow in a way. Hopefully jags a couple of tries early, gets up some quick money, and then, try to trade him off to more of a keeper. But I feel like I feel like you can't not start him at that price in the Panthers edge back row spot, because they don't. It is probably the one position they don't. I don't know. It doesn't seem like they have that many edge back rowers coming through. A lot of the guys they talk about are more middle forwards and outside backs. Obviously, Martin's going to be on the other edge, but I can't really think of any other back rowers that could take his spot. I'm sure Panthers fans will let me know fucking 100 back rowers at a NRL Origin level standard, but at the moment, yeah, it's hard not to put him in. And then at the moment, I got Nat Butcher. I think this is one area where I could save a bit of money and go a bit of a cheaper guy, but I don't look. I think Tupanua is out for a bit to start the year. And whenever Nat Butcher is started in the back row, he's done really, really well. That's why his price is so high, because his work rate's really good. In that Roosters team, like, there's just attacking options everywhere, and he's not necessarily like a big attacking threat. He's decent, but it's more the fact that you've just got so many attacking weapons all around that, you know, the edge back rowers find themselves with plenty of space, because the defenders have to be very wary inside and outside of the back rowers. So, you know, Butcher and whichever back row is there. I mean, Angus Crichton as well, but he's very expensive. They're going to find themselves with plenty of attacking upside. And Butcher just has the work rate. So I just like Butcher better than Tupanua, because if Tupanua was starting, I don't think I'd go him at all. But Butcher, with Tupanua being out for, I don't know, I think I don't know where I saw it, but I feel like he's out for a while. I don't know. We'll have to wait and see about that. I mean, if Tupanua is only tipped to be out for a couple of weeks, then I probably wouldn't go. I wouldn't go Butcher. But if it's confirmed he's out for a good chunk to start the year, I could see myself going Butcher. And then we go on Ray Stone for now. It looks like Stone's going to get a bench role, but you know, I could see him getting some decent minutes in that forward pack again. Like I said with Gilbert, I feel like Gilbert will move into the front row and then Stone will come on at lock and play decent minutes. But depending how his injury is gone, like hopefully he comes back strong from the ACL. I mean, I guess the one good thing, it's not good, but the one silver lining is that he did it what was that, like, I feel like it was like round 1 or 2. It was so early in the season he did it, so he had the full season off to recover, and then, you know, he should be firing. And then the other guy at the moment got Trey Mooney. That's just a placeholder. He's obviously a talent coming through, but depending what back rowers sort of get the spots. But, you know, there's a lot of mid-range back rowers. I mean, Ali Katoa, I was very keen on, but I'm just not sure with the price. Like, he's like 400k. But, you know, if he gets a starting back row spot at the Storm, I'd be very tempted, because I think he has a potential to turn into a star. But yeah, it's a wait and see on the back row. It's a tricky position this year, I feel like. And then in the halves, we have gone big. We've gone big. Nathan Cleary and Nico Hines. I don't know. This is another position. I don't really see myself not going these two. The only thing I might do is maybe Nico Hines. I'd trade him out for, honestly, a Sam Walker. Go for a much cheaper option with Walker with really good upside. Wouldn't be the worst, but I don't know. Go on the two guns, keep him all year. And now with, like I said, with the new rule changes, having Cleary and Hines both on the bye in the major bye round, it doesn't matter as long, you know, because you'll still get 13 players if you've got 13 players. So I can't see myself changing, but again, depends. If I'm not happy with the rest of the team, then, you know, I can easily downgrade Hines, make a good amount of cash, and you know, strengthen other positions. It's just weighing up what the downside is, I guess. Because is Hines going to regress? I don't know. I mean, again, the Sharks have a really good draw, so he'll probably do pretty similar, in all honesty. And then the 5'8", we've got, you know, Josh Schuster. I actually think Schuster is a must-have. Like, I think if you don't go Schuster, I mean, you can pick him up in the second row, and again, it'll depend. Like, I think there's probably more options in the second row for cheap to mid-range that I think Schuster is better selected in the 5'8" spot, because there's probably less cheap / mid-ranges in the 5'8" that I'm that keen on. But I'll have a better look and see if Schuster works better in the second row or the back row. But Schuster, I think he's a must-have. Like, if you don't start Schuster at 240k, he's going to be starting 5'8". I think you're absolutely out of your mind. I mean, even if he stinks it up, like I can't see him not averaging 50 at least. And then I've gone with Matt Burton. I just, the Dogs have a lot more strike power. Viliami Kikau, Reed Marnie. I think he's a bit overrated as a player in general. I think people think he's better than he is, but I do think he's probably the best option that isn't Munster or Dylan Brown. And you can save a lot not going those two. And Burton, I much prefer Burton over Dewey. The other guy I was looking, actually, AJ Brimson. Unfortunately, Brimson's like 670, but I'd be really tempted to go Brimson if he is starting fullback, because I think he could absolutely go off at fullback in that team, just attacking upside galore. And Burton, he has a couple of low games in him, so I don't know. But Burton does have the goal kicking as well, so it's a pretty safe bet. The back line, at the moment, the back line is definitely going to change. There is no doubt about that. I'm not really... The only guy I'm probably set on is Clockstar, Chansey here at 320k. It looks like he's going to get that fullback spot back at the Warriors, I think. I think so. I haven't really looked at their team too much either, but I feel like Clockstar will go back to fullback. At 320k, he's, is he going to be back at his, prime at the Raiders, averaging like 50, 60 plus? Probably not, but at 320k, it's hard not to go him. I got Jermaine Asako at the moment. This one, I don't know about Asako. If he finds some form, he could definitely, he has the potential. And with the goal kicking, it's just a matter of, I don't know if the Dolphins are going to score that many tries. I think they'll be pretty good. I think they'll be a lot better than people think they will be, but they'll probably be more of a defensive team than an attacking side. So yeah, I don't know. I don't know if Asako will go into my team. He'll probably get a wing spot. I would suspect maybe he gets the fullback spot, but I don't know. It's a wait and see on Asako. Isaac Thompson. This one's a tricky one as well, because I feel like if he was locked in for that wing spot, I would love to get him, because he's a tackle breaker. He takes a lot of hit ups, try scorer on that Rabbitohs back line. He'd be an easy pick, but the annoyance is that fucking Tane Milne. Tane Milne suspended, I think, for the first 2 games. And then Thompson, it seems like he'll get a wing spot to start, but does Tane Milne take his spot when he comes back? I mean, Thompson, I think, is a better player, but for whatever reason, they do like Tane Milne on the wing, so I don't know. I probably don't... I don't know. It's a tricky one with Thompson. I probably won't go in, but I really do want to. And then I've got Lachlan Miller at the moment at 600k. I generally don't like to even go one expensive player, but I don't know. Miller, obviously he's at the Sharks. Obviously he's going to the Knights, but he's got the Sharks logo at the minute. They'll fix that. But a fullback, I think I think for a top, one of the top range centre wings, he'll be as safe as houses. The only issue is that if the Knights go terribly and Ponga has a shocker at 5'8", then maybe Miller gets relegated and Ponga goes back to fullback. That's the only concern. But if not for that, I think Miller, he's got the work rate. He's got the upside. I think he's a pretty safe bet with 600k, because a lot of the other guys, To'o's also a decent option around that same price, but then you go to Holmes, who I think Holmes is 800k, and a couple other guys who are way more expensive. So Miller, a bit cheaper, I think is a pretty good option. And then the rest, we got the young guy from the Titans, Khan Pereira there. Again, dictating what other cheapies come through on the wing and centers. There's always a couple that pop up, and there are quite a few already that are potentials that aren't quite cheapies, but they're definitely options. Hayes Dunster looks like he's going to get that. I think it's Dunster, or is it Russell that's going to get that spot? whilst what's his name, Blake has broken his arm. So it's going to be one of the two. You'd want it to be Dunster because he's only 230k. I think Sean Russell's like 360, and then we got Tommy Talau at the moment. But I mean, again, is he going to be fit to start in the centres? It seems like he is. So again, 300k starting centre, not too shabby. He'd probably be more like that 260 if not for the price rise. And then the fullbacks, Teddy is a lock-in. And then Tom Trbojevic is also a lock-in at the moment. This is I mean, if Tom Trbojevic doesn't start in round 1, then I'm not going to go him, obviously. But if he plays round 1, dude, if he's named for round 1 and he's fit to go, there is no shot I'm not going to go Tom Trbojevic. At 570k, there's like no risk. Like, even if he does pull up injured or whatever in the next couple of weeks, he's only 570. It's not like you're spending 900k, or last year he was 1.2 million. He was 1.2 milli and people still got him. He's only 570, dude. Like, I feel like if Tom is in that fullback spot round 1, like, I don't see how you couldn't go him. I know they have a tough run. They've got they got Bulldogs first round. 2 p.m. day game. Oh, that'd be a beauty. That'd be a beauty for Tommy to play. But I think the next few weeks they're a bit of a tougher draw. But I don't know. I don't see how you couldn't go Tommy. But that's the very, very early team. First team, I just booted it up. I chucked together a team. It's definitely going to change a lot. But, you know, the first, I actually think, you know, you can get some good stuff here. I'm pretty locked into Tedesco and Trbojevic, depending Trebojevic's fitness. Clockstar is pretty locked in. Burton, I'm pretty sure of. Schuster, Cleary, Hines, Garner for feeder, Hopgood, and Raystone probably as well. I'm pretty keen on Butcher. I'm pretty keen on Butcher as well, just pending on Satili Tupanua. And then Brandon Smith locked in, and then Hetherington, Gilbert. And I like Thompson as well. So yeah, there's some good stuff here. But yeah, hopefully you guys are enjoyed the Supercoach action here. Looking forward. I mean, it's getting close. It's exciting times. I'm definitely gonna go through like every. I'll probably I'll either do teams, like a team breakdown, or I'll do positional breakdown. I'll probably go teams because yeah, I think I did teams last year and it worked pretty well. So look forward to that coming up. We'll dive deeper into the nitty gritty of it all. And yeah, make sure to like and comment. I'll see you guys in the next one.